In speaking our truth and sharing our unique stories, we are doing two very amazing things. We are teaching the world to be fairer and kinder place, and we're easing the burden of our story on our shoulders. My Voice, Volume 3, Journeys of Self-Discovery and Resilience, is an ensemble volume of moving stories detailing the lives of 20 women from varied backgrounds around the world. Each of the stories is very different, highlighting the premise that everyone has a story. Every chapter told in the author's voice highlights strength, resilience, a way forward when life seems impossible. These are women to admire and emulate. These are truly stories of self-discovery and resilience. But before we start, I wanted to thank each one of our authors for having the courage and determination to share their stories, so someone somewhere can read about it and feel supported, loved, inspired, motivated, empowered, or simply comforted to know they're not alone. My name is Neera Gupta, and together with Shikhar Sarkar, we would like to welcome you all to the launch of My Voice, Volume 3, Journeys of Self-Discovery and Resilience by Global Influencers Publishing House, a publishing company with the objective of connecting hearts and minds of international readers and authors through the power of words. The event is brought to you by KitKat Events and Marketing, a company that has been in the forefront of empowering women through a series of events, forums, conferences, awards, even building an online and offline community, with a focus on creating a safe space for like-minded women to come together, engage in, and discuss pressing issues related to women. To know more about our books or join our community or attend our events, you can follow our social media page, and the details for that are being shared on the chat. After two successful launches of the books, My Voice, Volume 1, a collective memoir by women of substance, and My Voice, Volume 2, Stories of Transformation and Purpose, both of which became Amazon number bestsellers this year, we are delighted to launch our third volume of the My Voice book series, which was released on Amazon last week. If you'd like to purchase any of the volumes, the links for that are being shared on the chat group as well. With that, please welcome the co-authors of the book and the stars of today as we hear more about their journey and inspiration to share it with the world. Let's get started with Anna von Zinner, who's joining us from Australia. Anna is an author, editor, and a writing mentor. In March 2013, Anna suffered a stroke that changed her life forever, but made her realize the power of leaving a written legacy. And in the last 18 months, Anna has worked closely with over 70 authors and herself co-authored several books. Let's hear more from Anna.
Thank you, Neera. It's actually more like 90 authors now, so it keeps growing, it keeps growing. The My Voice books are wonderful books to write for. This is the second volume that I've written in, and this time I've written a chapter called Catitude. And in it, I write about my cat, Sticky, who is nearly 2 years old. And when I got her nearly a year ago, she'd never been outside. She had never seen grass. And I watched her fight her fear and find out what a joy grass is. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, if only people could approach fear in the same way. She didn't stop doing anything, but she just did little things to push forward, to push forward, to push forward until finally, grass, oh, you can roll in it and it feels so good. Oh, she'd done it. She'd pushed through her fear and the reward was a beautiful experience and something for me to write about.
That is a super, super awesome story. And just imagine a cat, an animal is teaching us the way forward for life. So great job, great job. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And congratulations on 90 plus authors. And of course, you're another co-authored book. So heartiest congratulations from the entire team of Global Influencers Publishing House. Thank you, Anna, for sharing that with us today.
Thank you, Neera.
All right, now up next we have Emily Pearson also joining from Australia. Now, Emily has traveled the world to discover her inner world and how it works. Accessing her higher self has become Emily's passion, and so has a desire to share this with others so that they too can discover their own internal guidance system and inner wisdom to solve their most complex problems. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you, Neera. And hi, everyone. As Neera mentioned, my name is Emily Pearson. I decided to get involved in this amazing book because I really fell in love with the intent to inspire and empower women around the world. In my chapter, I share my story of losing my mum at a young age and how I went from feeling disconnected to life to really finding that connection again. And I did this by going on a spiritual quest. For 10 years, I studied psychology, energy healing, and meditation. And I had my big aha moment sitting in meditation outside the Dalai Lama's house in India, which is a very long way from New Zealand, where I'm from. And so that leads to the name of my chapter, Stalking the Dalai Lama. You'll need to read the full chapter to get the full story, but ultimately it's about how I connected to the power and wisdom of my higher self, that inner guidance system that we all have access to. By sharing my story, I really hope that it might give some other people hope, especially to anyone that is experiencing trauma, just to know that that cloud does lift and it's possible to feel connected to the beauty and mysteries of life again. And to also know that we don't have to look too far outside of ourselves to find the answers. By tuning into that energy of our higher self, it's possible for all of us to tap into our own inner wisdom and amplify our intuition. So my wish is that this book creates a ripple effect, inspiring more women to share their authentic voices. And I invite you to not only read my chapter, but to read the stories from all the other amazing women on this call. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the book.
Thank you so much, Emily. And yes, we're getting a lot of people writing in the chat that it's an excellent subject, an excellent title. And I'm sure everybody is looking forward to reading your chapter and everybody else's. So thank you very much for sharing that with us today. And congratulations once again. Up next, we have Christiane War, who is also joining us from Australia. Well, since we knew that it is going to be super late in Australia, we're actually going with the time zone starting from the very east. So Christiane is passionate about growth and development and has been coined as an education junkie and alumni of the University of Life. She possesses an insatiable curiosity, an unshakable optimism, dedicated to inspiring transformation and empowering performance, moving clients from where they are to where they want to be in their career, business, and life. Over to you, Christiane.
Thank you, Nira. So yes, I am Christiane Wall, coach, speaker, and therapist, and now newfound co-author at My Voice, Volume 3, Journeys of Self-Discovery and Resilience. I was absolutely thrilled when Nira, the director, who we've just had the delight of meeting at Global Influencers Publishing House, reached out to me. In fact, it was Tuesday, the 24th of August. She wasted no time in setting up a meeting the very next day to explore future possibilities together, one of which included co-authorship in this fabulous book, My Voice, Volume 3. The title itself intrigued me. The resonance, the alignment, the congruence was profound. This truly was a synchronistic, serendipitous moment. As for my story, Life by Design, Not by Default, it captures the essence, the importance of living your dreams, your passion, and your purpose. It highlights the number one regret of the dying, as witnessed by Bronnie Ware in her book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. The number one regret being, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me, being the number one regret or common regret of all. I too very nearly became such statistic. I too nearly died with such regret, if not for that one life-defining moment. And I'd love to share a small excerpt, if I may. And yet my weight continued to plummet, falling to a scanty 29 kilograms within days. By this time, I was under ongoing observation and review by more ologists than one could possibly conceive to exist. Everything from cardiologists to endocrinologists, gastroenterologists, hematologists, psychologists, nephrologists, dietitians, general practitioners, nutritionists, and psychiatrists too. And then came that paralyzing moment in which I heard those terrifying words. We've got everything on her. Either she fights and lives or quits and dies. And fight I did. I now live my life by design, not by default. I'm curious, how do you live yours?
Wow, that was beautiful sharing, beautiful. And I personally loved reading your chapter as well. And congratulations once again on being part of the My Voice journey along with the other 19 authors. So thank you very much for that and congratulations. Thank you, Christiane.
Thank you.
And that was Christiane joining us from Australia. And up next, we have Resida Campbell, also joining us from Australia. Resida is an energetic, innovative leader and speaker who is captivated by mind-body connection with a particular focus on leadership, communication, and thriving through change. Resida has experienced her own work and health challenges, leading her to be a disruptive force in helping people and organizations overcome fear and failure and move forward. Welcome, Resida, to My Voice Volume 3 book launch. How is it? Has the experience been for you?
Nira, it's been a fantastic experience and thanks for the wonderful introduction. As Nira said, I'm Resida. I'm an energetic, innovative senior health leader, international speaker, coach, author, and possibility maker who is captivated by that mind-body connection. Having worked in health leadership roles for over 15 years, being a 5 times Australian Open tennis official and a state karate medalist, I've witnessed some amazing physical and psychological breakthroughs and achievements in my time. But I've also experienced significant challenges in both my personal and professional life that have led me down a path to be a disruptive force in helping people and organisations thrive through change. I decided to write for My Voice Volume 3 to share my journey of fatigued to fearless. Many people have sought my advice on how to overcome fear and fear of failure in a changing world. And I share my learnings and my framework in this chapter. In the last 22 months, I, and I'm sure many of you, have experienced significant challenges as a result of COVID-19. I completed my MBA studies whilst working from home, homeschooling 2 primary school age children, whilst living in Melbourne, Australia, which set the world record for the longest and some of the most harshest lockdowns, 263 days to be exact. I'm proud to be able to share my framework and learnings because I use them, and I know at this current time, when many people are still experiencing many challenges in the world, my story and those of all others on this video call can be an inspiration and learnings for you to be able to face your challenges and overcome your fears. So thank you, Global Influencers Publishing, for giving myself and all the authors here the opportunity to have a great influence and share our knowledge and experience in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Resida, and congratulations once again. This is a journey forward. You've written one, and I know now you're going to be writing a lot more. So thank you very much for choosing us to be the first, and obviously the subsequent ones as well. But congratulations and good luck to you. So that was Resida Campbell joining us from Australia. Up next, we have Sandra Mcgivern from Australia, and she is an advocate for drug overdose awareness, and that has come from a very personal experience of hers, of which she has spoken about in the book. She has had the seeds of compassion planted in her heart by the Dalai Lama. I bet she didn't really stalk him though. She has walked over fire, meditated for 6 days, and screamed primordially from the top of the mountain. And she's actually done that, and it's not just a reference. After 10 days in wilderness to renew her mind, body, and spirit. Sandra, welcome to the My Voice book launch event.
Thank you, Nira. It's amazing to be here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this incredible publication. In my chapter, I share my story of, firstly, I guess, the fact that my journey of self-discovery over all those years of doing those types of things, I didn't realise that I was actually collecting a toolbox that I would need to save my own life and sanity and be able to build resilience when trauma came into my life. After the death of my son to an accidental opioid overdose, I share the story of how it happened, of how I then found the power to force change, and basically how I got through and managed to turn grief into love. So I hope that by sharing this story that women all over the world can find some resilience from that, because I know that when it happened to me, that was the first thing that I went for, is to be able to share the journeys of other women. And now I have them with me. Other mothers come to me and we share our journey. So I'm grateful to be a part of this amazing publication, not just to share my story, but also to be a part of everybody else's. And so it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much for sharing such a heartwarming story, and a story that will, of course, inspire a lot of people out there, and for having the courage to do so. Thank you very much for doing that, and congratulations on being one of the co-authors for the #My Voice Volume 3 book.
Thank
that
you.
was Sandra Mcgivern from Australia. Up next, we are moving from the time zones and we're coming eastwards, and we have Bhavni Raval, who's originally from London and now lives in Hong Kong, but she's back in London, connecting the dots and weaving the threads between people, brands, innovation, and culture. Ideating, discovering, and creating is where she is the happiest. Bhavni has been a creative director, actor, producer, writer, and educator at some point all simultaneously. Welcome, Bhavni, to the My Voice book launch. We're so
Hi.
happy to have you here.
Hi, Neera. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is a bit overwhelming, really, to be part of all of this. Yes, I'm Bhavni. I'm currently in Hong Kong, but right now I'm in London visiting family. So Neera actually reached out to me right when I was in the middle of this mess, which I've called, which is the title of my chapter, A Beautiful Mess. And I kind of thought it was the right time and kind of serendipitous. All the signs in the universe were coming together and that I should talk about what I was going through. So my story very much takes place in the here and now. It's very raw. It's very much what's happened in the last 13 months of my life, where professionally and personally, I've had so many challenges, like physically with my mental health, emotional, spiritual, health, everything has kind of crumbled. And, you know, with something against, dealing with something like this against the backdrop of a pandemic is really, it's really hard to navigate. And I think we always look for stories and people to click onto and hang on to give us some kind of guidance or way. And I couldn't really find anything. So that's why I decided to write about my mess. So there's no conclusion. There's a little bit of conclusion, but not so much. But more than anything, I really, really hope that someone reads it who's going through any of the similar challenges, feeling any of the similar feelings, and feels like, you know, I'm not the only one in the world feeling like this. And I really, really hope that it brings comfort. Yeah, that's all I would want. But thank you. I'm so excited to be part of My Voice Volume 3 and all these amazing ladies from around the world who have been so brave and courageous to share their stories. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much and congratulations. And it's interesting, right? Life is a beautiful mess at all or any given point of time. It's just how we tend to live with it or deal with things that we have to. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing the story and the fact that you're still living. And I remember how it was like, how do you conclude that? Because I'm still living it. There isn't a conclusion.
There is no conclusion. You're very much right. I'm still in my mess, and so may it continue.
Yeah, and you're able to smile and you look beautiful. So that's the whole part of it, right? Up next, we have Christina Thamer also joining us from Hong Kong. Now, Christina brings to light the value of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging of women, enabling them to activate their empowerment to make decisions and take actionable steps to follow through on their greatest ambitions. Or, to simply put, she helps them write the next professional chapters in their life. Welcome, Christina. How are you? We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here too, and I'm really grateful to you and Shishka and all of the team to help bring this all together. And I'm really grateful to be part of this with all of the other authors for this edition of the book. I think for me, I'm really grateful for this experience in particular because over the summer, I was part of a webinar discussion bringing about elements of the story that I've written in this particular chapter. And I thought that it would flow, and I thought that it would just roll off the tip of my tongue. And to be honest, I nearly welled up in tears in front of a bunch of people online. And for me, this has been an incredible experience because I remember that night coming home from that webinar and telling my husband, I flopped. And I really started to think that night as to why. And it was really because I hadn't really talked about that part of my life in so many years. You know, we've been focused on the pandemic, you know, over the last 2 years. Who remembers anything about 2002? It's important, though, because what I aim to share with all of the readers who read this edition and this chapter is that, you know, my story of resilience and the power that it can have that it's not beautiful very often. Sometimes it is for some people, but for my story, the way that it all sort of started, coming from a particular incident in November 2002, it wasn't pretty. But yet it served as one of the most powerful lessons of my life. And from that, it served, when I was at the crossroads there, I was able to develop confidence, courage, and resilience. And that helped me in my decision making, and really led to a greater chain of events and, strengthened me professionally. And so it's interesting because, over the summer, the very next day, I was approached by global influencers for this book. And so I thought, well, this is, I was asked, do you have a story? And I thought, aha, I definitely have a story. I've got one for the books. I want to do this. And as I went through that process of writing this chapter, it was one of the most therapeutic exercises of my entire life. It wasn't easy by any way, shape, or form, but I'm excited about it. I'm proud of it. And I really hope that, drawing upon it after reading it, that all of you who are tuning in, and for those of you who read it, that you can find some relevance and connection with it too, to inspire you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Christina. And you're so right. Just writing about our stories, that unburdening ourselves is just so important, and it is so therapeutic. And I had the same experience when I wrote in the first volume as well. And I personally didn't think I was ready to share. And I said, oh, that's very hypocritical of me, telling everybody else to have the courage and not doing it myself. And I did that. And I think truly that was one of the most enriching experiences for me personally as well. And I'm definitely ready to rewrite and write another one and keep writing. And then it was really just a beginning of many of our journeys into writing. So thank you very much for sharing this with us, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
So for everybody else who wants to read Christina's chapter and all the other amazing authors, the book is available on Amazon, and we're looking for it to become an Amazon bestseller. So please go out there and buy the books. We are sharing the links on the chat group as well. So please go out there, buy the books, support all of the co-authors, and of course, be inspired and be motivated by their amazing, amazing life journeys. So keep doing that. And with that, we will move on to our next co-author of the book, and that is Julia Swaney. Now, Julie was born with a rare physical condition called AMC. Despite being bullied, harassed, and discriminated against, Julie has come a long way to become a leading spokesperson for AMC in Hong Kong. She also dedicated her time to raising awareness on different mental and physical health issues. Let's hear a little bit more from Julie about her inspiration to write for the My Voice book. Over to you, Julie.
So thank you, Neera and Shika. Firstly, thank you so much for giving us, all the authors, giving us this platform to write about our story. And also, I would like to thank Minal Methani, who's also the author for the first book. And was it not for her, I would never be introduced to both of you. And I would like to thank her because she's always been a part of my life, encouraging me and making sure that, my voice goes out to all of you. So here I am sharing this little chapter of mine, which is just a little bit about my chapter. I'm sharing more about my personal journey with a rare physical challenge called AMC. AMC is arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. And it is so rare that it happens only in 1 in 3,000 live births. So can you imagine, if it's so rare, I've never met anybody or anyone sharing this same similar condition as me. So when Minal told me about this, I was like, this would be a perfect chance for me to share about my condition and to reach out to more people. Who knows, maybe someone out there in Australia or India, someone who has AMC could, feel like, okay, we are not alone. So before in my life, I always felt like, I always felt like an alien or an outsider because I had nobody to share about my experience, what I'm going through. And finally, I feel like, after writing this story, it's talking about my struggles, my discrimination, and what I've gone through in my childhood, and what I've become now through the support of my family. And the only thing I'd like to share is that we are all different. We all have different kinds of problems in life. It's just how we see in a different perspective. So I hope that my chapter will inspire everybody. And I would like to thank my family, my husband, my mom, everybody, and my daughter. I wish that, she will read this and also she will pass it to the next generation for me. This is a story that we can all share, and it'll be passed on for the next generations as we go by. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing that. And we're so happy to have your story in this book. It certainly is an inspiration because it isn't about, a particular condition that you have. It's about facing the challenges in life and overcoming them. And these can be really, really hard. And you haven't just overcome them, you're actually also helping other people rise from it. So that's really, really commendable. And absolutely what you said, when you write something, it does become a legacy. It becomes a legacy that we leave for our loved ones, but also for other people. And the fact that we will be remembered for time to come because we have written a book or been part of a book. So wonderful, wonderful journey and wonderful sharing. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining us today. And congratulations once again. And that was Julie Swaney joining us from Hong Kong. Now, up next, we have Lorna Sianin Pagaduan. Now, Lorna is a registered nurse from Philippines by profession and is now working in Hong Kong as a migrant domestic worker. She uses her own experiences of winning battles to empower women and inform migrant workers of their rights, benefits, and entitlements, even setting up and volunteering for various charities in Hong Kong. Lorna, welcome to My Voice book launch. We are so delighted to have your chapter in this book.
Thank you, Nira, and hello, everyone. Success is an ending road of driving race if you define it as a battle of competition to others' achievements. I'm Lorna, once a princess turned to be a peasant's daughter, and now an international book co-author. To be with such an incredible achievers and amazing ladies brought me such as deja vu feeling. But thank you, Nira, Jess, Lynn, my boss, who switched on the light of empowerment, that I can say I am very privileged and proud to be in line with you all. The first Filipina, first from the migrant domestic worker sector, to be in the world map, as our dear Nira says. When Ms. Davina Pune and Ms. Christina Zibua of Pathfinders relayed the message from Catherine Gertin, co-author of My Voice, Volume 2, my journey as Pathfinders ambassador came to my mind. When they said it's supposed to be my story and my story alone, I was terrified. What part of the road of my journey should I ready to bear to the world? Will it be the accidents, my trophies of scars, the oceans of tears, or the medals of victory, of compassion? There's even such time that I don't want to do it anymore. Due to community events, ongoing projects piling up, plus I am in the moment of that time in a dark pit of my life. Again, and why not write this dark pit? But thank you, and thank you to all the push, and as a matter of fact, for all the disorganized words of mine, and I'm here again with you all. I must say, I love the cause also of the book, as I myself have a small charity called Lapis at Papel for our children. I can justify what migrant domestic workers are. My piece is only a tiny slice of theirs, but I don't want to go far. I aim that my colleagues in the field of nursing will realize for themselves what I did. Acceptance is a part of self-fulfillment. Being a domestic worker isn't a thing to be kept and ashamed of. Yes, I admit I was. I was once there, and I tell you, it's miserable. Domestic work is a job, just like being a hotel cleaner, janitor, a pilot, a teacher, and so on. It comes with the job description that needs to be executed to earn a living, binded with lawful contract, just like any job, to work for a specific task. Thus, it requires respect, just as everybody's job. Domestic worker can be a doctor, psychotherapist, as they treat literal wounds and mental issues inside the home, an accountant, a marketing major, mathematicians, teacher, linguist, caregiver, utility worker, actress, and many more. Let's put joy and love in everything we do. Make it a point wherein you're not merely doing a job description. Throw a passion of fire until such time you will realize it's already our profession.
Wow, thank you so much, Lorna, for this amazing sharing. And really, the chat is flooded with so many messages for you. So I hope you get a chance to read all of them. This is amazing. Thank you so much for doing this, Lorna. And your chapter will truly be an inspiration for everybody out of there, anybody who reads it. So thank you so much for this. And we wish you the very best. And congratulations on being part of this very book. Up next, we have Michelle Harris joining us from Hong Kong. Now, Michelle has been guiding women and children to empower themselves for 24 years. Michelle draws upon her inspiring personal journey and shares her discoveries and wisdom in authentic teachings. Her signature individual and group sessions ignite clients to live their magnificence personally, spiritually, and professionally. Over to you, Michelle.
So a colleague once said to me, Michelle, you were insignificant. And like a knife, these words went straight to my heart and cut deep into my core, because the truth was I actually did feel insignificant. And as a very shy and sensitive empath with shame, self-hate, a lack of self-worth and self-esteem, I didn't want to be seen. In fact, I hid the true me to protect myself and my inner vulnerability. In fact, I felt powerless to my thoughts, to my feelings, to my circumstances, to my life. And so in the book, which is Powerless to Empowered, I share some painful and traumatic experiences from my childhood and early adult life. And I basically ended up having a breakdown. I had anxiety, I had depression, I had ill health physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And on top of that, various self-punishment and debilitating patterns. In fact, I just couldn't see a way out. And I basically thought, this is it. You know, I didn't care if I lived anymore. I was at rock bottom. But through a series of different events, things changed. And in fact, one day I connected to what seemed to be some higher power and something much deeper inside of me that was to be a huge influence in changing my life. And it basically catapulted me to open up and share my true gifts, my soul mission, my creativity, my power, and my passion with the world. And basically now, as Nira was saying, I now share healing sessions and authentic teachings around the world, which is huge for someone like me who just didn't want to be seen. But, you know, one of the greatest things that I have learned is that your pain and your suffering and your wounds can actually be your gifts. And how through healing them and through embracing them, you can move forward. You can open up to your full potential. You can open up to that empowered version of yourself. And so basically, that's why I decided to write my story. Nira knows I've been, wanting to write books for a long time, and I've already written one book for tween and teens, but my own story, I've been for many years wanting to write this. And when she invited me, I thought, okay, this is the time. This is the time to write that. And so I wanted to share hope and inspiration to those who are suffering and feel powerless in their lives, to help them know that despite the adversity and pain, that there is a way through it, that you can heal and you can live that happier, healthier, more abundant life by being your true self. If I can do it, I know everyone can do it. And I am so honored to be a co-author alongside all these amazing, awesome women from around the world, each sharing their story. And as we listen to each person's story, and as I was listening to everyone speaking, we connect and we feel that story inside each one of us as being part of being human, and as part of one collective family of humanity. So I really hope that everyone buys the book, and let's help spread this inspiration around the world. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for that. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I know, and I've read your chapter, so I know it couldn't have been easy. And it never is it?
No, it's never easy. Absolutely. But, through the challenge, we learn, we grow, we evolve. And, from reaching rock bottom, there's only one way forward. Well, there's two ways. You can give up, as I think it was Christiane was saying earlier, you either quit or you just draw upon that strength, or you go forward. And something inside of me said, no, you have to keep going. There's something about this. There's a mission for you to fulfill. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, absolutely. I'm grateful.
And there's so much healing when we share our stories. There's
Absolutely.
so much healing, and it's so empowering, because as people read it, and as we get to know from other people, and the fact that we have shared, and then people become more open to sharing their own journeys and say, well, there is no shame, there is no guilt. I don't need to blame myself for this, and it's okay. This happened to me, and this is who I was, and this is who I am today. So it's just so important to be able to share that and to give other people the power to do the same.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I do. Exactly. Thank you, Nira. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Congratulations once again. And that was Michelle Harris joining us from Hong Kong. Now, up next, we have Nivedita Ramanujam, who's also joining us from Hong Kong. She's a psychotherapist specializing in treating trauma. And it is the teachings in Dhammapada, her own life experiences, extensive study and research in human behavior, and her own fears as a young single mother that propelled her onto this path of becoming a psychotherapist. Let's hear a little bit more about her. Nivedita, welcome to My Voice Volume 3.
Thank you very much, Nira, for that kind introduction, and I feel very honored to be here today. In fact, when Nira reached out to me in August, I took a while to agree to be part of this, simply because of the journeys that I have gone through with my own patients and knowing how much they endure in their struggles. However, I decided to share my own journey, and the reason for that was I also wanted to inspire single women, single mothers, single parents, and also parents who have been confronted with a devastating fear of either losing the child or have lost their child. My name, as you know, is Nivedita Ramanujam, and I am a psychotraumatologist. I've been in practice for the last 23 years, and I work with individuals who experience traumatic, life-changing events, and that could be a major accident that has altered the course of their lives, critical illnesses, loss of a loved one, emotional, sexual trauma. And in my story, I have talked about my journey on becoming a trauma therapist. It is so lovely to be part of this forum today, sharing my story amongst 19 women of substance who have gone through so much of pain and devastation and overcome, and also, lived a life of purpose and to inspire others. So my story is about sharing my experiences on becoming a single mother in a very Asian and conservative society, and breaking away from the cultural norms and against what I see as inequality of women, and also the devastation that I faced when I found out that my daughter had a brain tumor, raising two amazing, lovely children, not really knowing what it is all about when it comes to parenting, living in a world where there is very little family support, and really finding your way around. So my journey is a culmination of my training as a therapist, what worked for me personally, what didn't, the lessons I learned, the fears that I encountered in my life, and my own recovery and my own lessons. There were certain days when I had to learn how to manage emotional flashbacks, certain days that didn't work, and it was about radical acceptance. All the lessons that I learned as a mother, and understanding that our painful memories are one of our greatest afflictions in life, and how to repurpose our pain to a higher goal. We can't get answers sometimes to many of the devastating events that we experience in our lives. But the one thing that we all can do is we can find a way to repurpose our lessons and our pain to benefit others. And I do believe that our life experiences are like the darker threads that enhance the beauty of the golden threads in the tapestry of our lives. And that none of us will be spared from suffering, because suffering is inevitable, but being miserable is optional. And some of us are blessed with that one thing that we can hold on to tap into our inner strength. And some of us don't have it at all, any of those resources. But even in those situations, we can repurpose our pain to a higher cause and benefit others and get through life as well.
Well, thank you so much, Nivedita, for that sharing, and thank you so much for being part of this and everything that you do. And I can't even imagine the kind of work that you do and the pain that you listen to from everybody else, and how you, as you mentioned, repurpose it and to be able to find strength from pain. And that's amazing. And of course, you've used your own personal experiences to be able to do that. And like I said, couldn't have been easy for you to share your journey in the book, but I'm so glad that you did it. And to everybody who wants to read Nivedita's chapter and the chapters of all of our other 19 authors, please do grab a copy of the book. And thank you so much, Nivedita, once again joining us from Hong Kong. Up next, we have Sarah Calmeta, also known as Sarah the Pivoter. Now, she lives in Hong Kong, but she's joining us from US. It's 4 a.m. It's almost 5 a.m. So it's really early for her. And that kind of shows who she is. She is bold. She's a bit funky and not afraid to show her cracks and burnt edges to help others realize their own strengths through vulnerability. Sarah believes anyone can navigate life's big U-turns to achieve new levels of success, happiness, and satisfaction. Over to you, Sarah.
Good morning, Neera. Thank you so much for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you wonderful and inspiring women. And so thank you for taking the time out of your days to join us today. I wanted to write with the My Voice team because I had seen the book's launch over the last few years and read some incredibly amazing stories. And as it was mentioned before, it was powerful to witness what other people have gone through. And when we look at others in day-to-day life, we get the smiles, we see the laughs, but we often don't see the pain or the past. And the reason is most of us hide this. We hide it even from ourselves. And one of the most powerful things in our world is the power of story. As human beings, this is how we connect to each other. And this is how we connect to ourselves. Before the written word, we would share stories over food and around the fireplace. And around the fireplace, something magical happens. For those of you who have sat around a campfire and shared stories or a warm hearth at home, you know those incredible visceral sensations that just take over. And that deep bonding that lasts and goes beyond the story. And through this book, I feel like that's what we've created. We've created a campfire of these inspiring stories that we've shared, and we've laughed and we've cried and we've connected through these powerful experiences. And as it was just mentioned, most of us have experienced pain, and we are now repurposing that pain for a higher purpose. And so this is why I chose to be a part of this story, this bonding experience, because if all of us can make a difference in just one person's life, then that is worth doing. Because 1% change over the course of a year is 37x. And imagine now the power of all of our stories being in one place for that next young woman or man to pick up and learn from our experiences. My chapter is entitled From High Flyer to Flying High. You know, I thought I had it all, and I did everything society asked me to do, told me that I should want, and I was miserable and alone. And I realized most people go through life this way. And as also said before, they're living by default and not design. And so I was very lucky to have woken up through my pain and experience and embark on a spiritual journey, refinding myself, uncovering through all the layers that have been put upon me to find out who is Sarah and what is her real story and what does she want to share. And so in my story, I go through that journey and I share all the little insights and aha moments and realize that all this adversity, well, this has given me the power to create my own reality. The resilience that we have through these experiences are indeed our superpower. And no matter how many times we empty that glass, it is always refillable. And so I hope that through this story and through all the other stories, we can remind each other not only to be inspired by other people and their experience, but also become inspired by ourselves. In writing this chapter, I realized some of the things that I had completely forgotten or suppressed. And in being home for the holidays for the first time in 2 years, I've seen it even more so. All the memories are flooding back and experiences. And it's a reminder that what we've been through is real and it's beautiful, even though it might be cracked. And instead of looking at the cracked pieces as a pity, we can instead put them together to create a beautiful mosaic and showcase to others and let our light shine through. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. And I am so excited for this book to be released and to read everyone else's story and to share our stories around the next campfire.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you so much for joining us so early in the morning. You look fabulous for somebody who had to wake up so early, and such beautiful sharing. And there's so many beautiful, beautiful messages that are coming up on chat saying amazing stories from all the women. Thank you for sharing. And beautiful, well said, Sarah. So powerful. Express, don't suppress. Our experiences are equal to our superpower. Preach it. Create your own stories. So we're getting so many amazing messages. So everybody, yes, please keep those messages coming in. We are going to read them. They are going to be all saved. So we are definitely looking at these messages and we're definitely reading them. And for everybody's story or anybody's story, please do, tell them what you thought about it. And we're loving the participation. We're loving all of the love that's coming from all of the authors for each other. How lovely is that? And truly, we have created a movement through the My Voice book series. And Sarah, I love what you talked about, talking about these stories on a campfire. Now, I wish one day when all of this COVID has gone, we could all meet together and do a lot of sharing. So thank you very much for that. That was Sarah joining us from US. Next up, we have Suzanne Schutz, who has been living in Asia for 3 decades. And after a glorious corporate career, she found her passion in Chinese metaphysics. Suzanne bridges the gap between local Chinese metaphysics masters who rarely explain their practices and procedures, and cosmopolitan clients who require a more modern and adaptive approach. Of course, it was very difficult for her, being a Westerner, to come into something that was very Asian, very traditional. And this is her story. So, Suzanne, let's hear a little bit more from you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all. And I'm really, really grateful that I was so kindly asked to participate in this book project. I am really impressed with all of those stories, and it's a great cause that we can help encourage women all around the world to just find resilience and strength in trauma and crisis. Now, in my chapter, I detail my journey, which started when I was stuck in a really severe life crisis. And it was kind of like a tunnel. I couldn't see forward or way back. And at the time, my mentor, who is an extremely straightforward person, told me, look, if you want to become a legend, you actually have to do legendary shit. And I decided, okay, well, I've got nothing left to lose. And there's no better time to actually do exactly what I wanted to do all along and enter a career path that seemed impossible. Everybody told me, you can't do this, you will absolutely fail. It is impossible to do this as a woman and as a non-Asian. And I thought, well, you know, it may be difficult, it may be impossible, but if I don't even try, I'm going to be left wondering, what if, or could I have done it? And so I took that bold step and changed my career path completely. I was called crazy and insane by many people, but I believe that there are just simply not enough crazy and insane people out there, because that's what makes life colorful. And so I followed my path. I went through a lot of obstacles, a lot of resistance, but I also found that I am much, much stronger than I thought I was. And I believe that we all have the potential to become a legend in our own way. And so if I could do it, then everybody can do it, no matter what life throws at you. And so that's pretty much what I wanted to get across with my chapter. And I'm really honored that I'm in such great company with all those other legends.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And it is all about sharing our stories, our journeys, and what we've learned from that and what others can learn from it. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want, that if we are able to inspire somebody from our journeys, well, then we've done a good job. So thank you very much, Suzanne, for sharing that. Now, up next, we are going to have Jasmeet Arora, who is joining us from India. Jasmeet has to leave because she has something to address, so we will get her to come next. Now, Jasmeet is a counselor, an entrepreneur, a social activist, and a founder for children with special needs. Her inspiration is her niece, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth, which prompted her to become an advocate for the rights of children and families of children with special needs. Jasmeet, over to you.
Thank you so much, Neera. And I thank Shika and Neera both for giving me this opportunity to talk about my journey with special needs. So my journey, I think, started about 18 years back when I visited back from the US where I was settled. And I was told by my brother that their 8-month-old baby would never walk. She would never talk. She would not have a thought of her own. I can just not imagine what the parents would have gone through to have been told this for their first child. The parents were struggling. They had grief. Acceptance is the biggest hurdle when you are given a news that your child has special needs. I know in our panel, in our co-authors, we have parents whose children have had trauma. And when we have this kind of an impact, sometimes the marriages break, and that's what happened. And I took charge of my niece at 8 months old. And through our journey that I've written in the book, make a lemon cake when you're given lemons. It is a journey of self-discovery and resilience. It's a journey of finding what we could do by just finding the inner strength within us. And I'm so glad to tell you that Namrata, my niece, is not a child who cannot talk. And she is not a child who does not have a mind of her own. She is in her college and she is a regular student and she has a voice of her own. So while she still struggles with physical disabilities, I would say that is nothing compared to the diagnosis that was given to us. And that inspired me and my family to open a center for children with special needs. I don't know how this journey started, and I started becoming an advocate for the rights of children with special needs. So as you read my chapter, you will find various episodes of how we could work with children across India, how we could help children. I became a trainer so that I could empower therapists. And COVID became a new chapter in our life. It was a journey of how we could reach across to children online and help not just the children, but also their families. So I invite you to read my story and I wait for a feedback from all of you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jasmeet, for sharing your story. And you truly are an inspiration, like all the other 19 authors of the book, My Voice, Volume 3, Journeys of Self-Discovery and Resilience. And truly, all of the authors, as you would have seen so far, are true examples of resilience and self-discovery. Now, up next, we have Tatiana Solomartina, who's originally from Russia. Tatiana moved to China at the ripe age of 17. She currently lives in Hong Kong, where she fulfills her mission to empower women to embrace their uniqueness, motivate them to do what they love without self-doubt and fear, and show them the roadmap to success. Fun fact about Tatiana, she actually has a documentary on her life. Tatiana, over to you. Let's hear about your inspiration to write for My Voice, Volume 3.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for this opportunity to be a co-author of this beautiful book. At first, when Shika connected me and offered this opportunity, I refused. And I was keep asking myself, am I really worth it? And am I good enough? And then I was like, wait a moment. I promised myself a while ago that I need to love myself a little bit more. And I need to take this opportunity. I love to support women, and maybe this is another way to do it by sharing my personal story. So my story is about my personal life as an expat in Asia. Keep fighting for a brighter future, keep achieving goals, but at the same time, almost losing myself on this journey. At a certain moment, my mom almost forced me to take a course from transformational coach and stop and think and just look around what's going on in my life. And only then I realized that actually there is much more things to do, and there's another aspect of life that needs to be fulfilled beside career, and that was opening, like, wake up call for me. And just then I promised myself that I need to love myself a little bit more in order to give this love to others and support others. So my story, just a little bit about this, and welcome everyone to read this and find out more.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. And I remember while you were writing, you mentioned so many times that you couldn't write because you just kept crying, because this is the first time you've actually not only shared this story, but also realized your own journey and everything that went through. Because when life is happening, we don't sit back and reflect upon what we've been through and the journey we've been on. And I remember you saying that this was so hard for you because you just kept reliving those moments and realized where you have come, how far along you have come. So thank you so much for finally doing this, and it's an
Thank you so
amazing.
much. It was kind of therapy for me. I had a pain in my throat, I catch cold. I was sick for 2 weeks. I couldn't recover it. I was crying over my story all the time when I was writing. It's amazing opportunity, and I'm so happy to be inside this beautiful book, my story.
Absolutely. And that was Tatiana joining us from Hong Kong. And now from Hong Kong, we're moving over to Singapore, where Shika and I are based, as most of you would know. And we have with us Avnish Sharma, and she is a diversity and inclusion enthusiast. She's passionate about empowering women to achieve their life and career goals. She believes that learning to be grateful shifts the narrative of your life from that of complaining to a life of appreciating all that you have. Over to you, Avnish.
Patti Smith once said, "Life is like a roller coaster. It's never going to be perfect. It's going to have some perfect moments and some rough spots. But finally, it's all worth it." Hi, everyone. I'm Avnish Sharma. I'm a banker by profession, a diversity and inclusion enthusiast, and a proud co-author of the book, My Voice, Volume 3. Many years ago, I had a near-death experience when I fell off the motorcycle on the expressway. It was late in the evening, and I was riding back home with my husband on the expressway. My scarf got stuck in the motorcycle wheel, and I got choked and I got pulled back and thrown off in the middle of the expressway. I miraculously survived that incident with minor injuries. My husband, who came to my rescue back then, told me I was really lucky to have survived, and it was my faith that had kept me safe and sound. This incident had happened many years ago, and back then I really did not think much about it. Years later, as I reflected upon it, I did realize that I was truly fortunate, and it's my faith in the higher power that survived me. I honestly believe that faith and prayers are like vitamins for our soul, and we should use it extensively. In the winding road that we all call life, every speed bump, every pothole, every sharp turn that we go through may hold some whispers from the universe that might help us learn and grow. As we've heard from all the incredible women, right? Once we listen to your stories, I do realize that nothing important has ever been accomplished without setbacks, difficulties, and adversity. You need to fight through, literally fight through some of the worst days of your life to experience the best ones. Do join me as I share my story in the chapter Grit, Gratitude, and Gumption. And I hope it may empower you on your journey towards personal growth and fulfillment. Thanks, Shikha and Neera, for this wonderful opportunity.
Well, thank you, Avnish. And that was Avnish Sharma joining us from Singapore. So once again, if you want to read her story or the story of all the other 19 authors, please do grab a copy of the book My Voice, Volume 3, Journeys of Self-Discovery and Resilience. And of course, if you wanted to grab a copy of the first volume and the second volume, please do that too, because we have so many amazing stories of so many amazing women from around the world. And perhaps there is a story in there that will touch your hearts, that will motivate you, that will empower you, or simply comfort you. So please do grab your copies of the books. And now we have Ivana Fertitta, who's originally from Italy and now lives in Singapore. Ivana is passionate about helping people be happier, more balanced, and fulfilled at work and in life. Leveraging at her core expertise in positive psychology, she has helped many clients be more engaged at work, manage stress, develop resilience, and face change positively. Ivana, over to you and your lovely smile.
Thank you, Nira. Thank you so much. Have you ever felt stuck in life? Perhaps a job that doesn't excite you anymore, or a situation that is not under your control? Have you ever felt you had no idea in which direction to go to get unstuck and live the life you really want? This happened to me 4 years ago when I found myself jobless and I lost what to do. No matter all my effort, I could not find a job. I felt powerless, hopeless, and that I was wasting my life away. Till a day when I realized how miserable I was, that I didn't like what I've become. I lost my sparkle, my joy, and I was a mere shadow of myself. So I decided I had enough of being a victim, and it was time to take my life back into my hands. How to do that? I had no idea at the time, but have made a decision. I will do anything in my power to come out of this situation. I will try something new. So, how did I get unstuck? If you want to find out more about my story and how did I get unstuck, so you have to read my chapter called Shedding a Light into the Darkness. I'm Ivana Fertitta. I'm a psychologist, speaker, facilitator, coach, and super happy to be a first-time author. I've decided to write this chapter to support women and men who find themselves stuck in life, so they will feel they're not alone, because moments like that happen to all of us. And also, this dark moment can be transformed in opportunities to turn things around and start building a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. I'm over the moon being with you, and I love the energy of all the authors. Thank you so much, Nira and Shika, for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Ivana, for sharing your story. And I remember that you mentioned as well that it wasn't easy for you to write that. It wasn't easy for you to share the challenges or the place that you were at, because a lot of people perhaps didn't know about it, but you had the strength and the courage to share it, because you said at the end of the day, what I want to achieve from that is that people who are in my position should know that there is light at the end of tunnel and that there is hope. So thank you very much for sharing your journey and your story in the book. And now we are moving more westward, and we have Sahar Madani, who is originally from Saudi Arabia, and she now lives in UAE, having spent many years in the US. Sahar believes that all women are precious and are the foundation of every society. As a woman, wife, and daughter, she believes all women deserve to become the best they can be within themselves and for themselves. Welcome, Sahar, to the book launch of My Voice Volume 3.
Hi, Nira. How are you? How are all the ladies? Thank you, first of all, so much for giving me this opportunity to be part of My Voice. And hearing these ladies' stories, oh my God, it's amazing. I feel my life is so simple next to these ladies. You know, it's very inspiring indeed. I can't wait to get a copy of the book. I haven't ordered it yet, unfortunately, but hopefully, inshallah, very soon with the holidays and everything. My chapter is talking about it's never too late. I got married at the age of 16, very young, had 4 boys, and I was living in the States all of my life, most of my life, and I spent 20 years as a diplomat, so I couldn't work. I couldn't have a business, nothing. It wasn't allowed. So all I did was go to school and have babies. Basically, that was it. So when I moved back to Saudi, and Saudi, I've been away for so long, and I didn't understand much of the culture and how I'm gonna work. I was over 40, and I was so scared to work in a mixed environment and men, and what's gonna happen, how they're gonna think about me, how they're gonna treat me. It was very scary, but I dug in, I put all of my fears aside. I started my first job when I was 42 years old. I had my own advertising company with men and women. And there was obstacles, obviously, there were challenges, but the women in my company supported me, and we supported each other. And it was a very educational journey. I learned a lot. And but it was cut short because I was as a diplomat, we moved to UAE again as a diplomat. So when I came here, I wanted to support all of the women, and because of what happened to be in Saudi, and I started my women empowerment group to support other women. And Will said, Nira, for that how I think about women and how we should support each other. And we grew from 18 women to over 300 women gatherings, speakers, and all of that. It's never too late to start your passion, your dream, your business, whatever it is. I started my first job at 42, my first business as 46. And now over 50, I'm not going to tell you my age, but over 50, I'm starting a new chapter, and I'm starting a new business in F&B. So it's never too late to follow what you want. If you feel like you have this energy, if you feel you have this passion of something, try it out. It might be the best thing that you can do in your life. So I would like to wish everyone a happy new year and Merry Christmas to all. And I can't wait to see you all in person one day.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah, and thank you so much for sharing your journey. And I know what you mean, that, when we read other people's stories or we hear other people's stories, that we feel that what we have done may not be enough. But as you have said yourself, that every woman has a story, and what we do and what we choose to do, it isn't about the degree or what we have done. It is about that what we have done with our life, that if it can touch somebody's life and it can inspire somebody, then we've pretty much achieved what we have wanted to do. So thank you so much for being part of the My Voice book series.
Thank you.
Now, up next, we have Ashling Phoenix, who is joining us from Australia. Ashling is a passionate explorer of life and self. She has held many positions, from leek planter to maritime lawyer and just about everything in between, whilst living in numerous countries over several continents. I remember meeting her many, many years ago in Hong Kong, and it's been more than 10 years since then. Now, she is a firm believer of living life on her own terms, undeterred by the judgment of others. Over to you, Ashling.
Thanks very much, Nira. Yeah, I do remember those crazy days in Hong Kong. That was certainly one. That time was had some of the most amazing adventures of my life, I must say. Before I get started, I would like to echo the sentiments of all the other women who have spoken here today, to say a very big thank you to you, Nira, and Shika, for facilitating this incredible experience. It has really been my privilege to have been involved in what I consider really to be a movement here with the My Voice books, and it's an incredible thing that you have achieved. So much gratitude to you and to all the other inspiring co-authors that we've heard from today. Thanks to everyone. My story is about adventure. When Nira approached me to contribute to the book, I'm a storyteller and I love stories. And I thought, oh, there must be a story that I can contribute. And when I thought about my life, I have had the great luck and also privilege to have had some amazing adventures. And I really think that there's adventure in everything if we can just open our eyes to see it. And so the most appropriate theme seemed to be adventure to me. So my story is about daring to be radical. It is about not allowing the judgment of others and the limiting labels that not just society, but we ourselves place upon each other to define us. So, I mean, we are all just raw, untapped emotion or not emotion, probably emotion too, but potential is what I meant to say, raw, untapped potential. And to really mind that, we have to stand in our power and listen to our intuition and allow it to guide us to where we need to be, to guide us past our comfort zones, because it really is, in my opinion, and from my experience at least, it's there at the boundaries outside of our safe zone where we discover parts and elements of ourselves that otherwise would remain dormant. Because there's so much about ourselves that we really don't know. And to me, that's the greatest adventure of life. That's the gold in life, is the exploration of self. And so I would like to wish everybody a happy Christmas and hope that you all have a peaceful, restful and cozy holiday season. But I would encourage you all in the new year to dare to be radical, to be brave, and to be willing to push yourselves out to those boundaries outside of the comfort zone. Because, as I say, that's where the wildest rides happen. And that's the greatest adventure of them all, the exploration of self. So I'll continue to do that. And I wish you all luck. And if you read my story, if it resonates with you at all, my contact details are in the book. Please reach out because it's really great to connect with people. And having this international platform, it's really, really an exciting thing to be involved in. And there's nothing greater than having an adventure with like-minded people and encouraging people to do the same. So back to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And yes, those crazy days in Hong Kong, and look where you have come along since then, and me too. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And we're getting a lot of messages on the chat group saying daring to be radical. People are loving that, loving that. And for everybody else who really wants to know what her journey was and how she is and where she is today, please do grab a copy of the book My Voice Volume 3. And to anybody out there who has heard all of these stories and feels that I'm ready to share my story too, because let me tell you one thing, that each one of you has a story. So don't think, well, do I have a story? Well, you certainly do. But if you are ready to share that story, please do get in touch with us. We are always looking for amazing stories, amazing journeys of women for our upcoming volumes of My Voice. So be part of this movement with us, be part of this tribe with us. And this is what we are doing with all of our volumes, volume 1, 2, and 3, that we are creating a tribe of women who are going to support each other, who are going to help each other, and who are going to be there for each other. And all of the readers, it's not just the authors but also the readers, this is what we're trying to do. And that's the reason why we also have the details of all of our authors. So like Ashling mentioned, that if you want to connect with any of our authors, please do so. If you just want to tell them that thank you for sharing, please do that. Or if you want to tell them I'm inspired, or somebody else I know is going through a similar situation and how you could be of help, please do so. And of course, grab a copy of the book. And we will be sharing a very special video that we have made for our authors. In fact, none of our authors have seen it, so we will be sharing that at the end of this session. Every time I saw it, and it did bring tears to my eyes. So I hope the video that we've created will move you as well. Now, our last author for today, Yolanda Medikizela from South Africa, was unable to join us. She's had a situation at her home and she does send her regrets, but I do want to tell you about her. Now, Yolanda is sustained by her uncompromising adherence to her strong moral and ethical principles and values. She believes in ethics, integrity, and honesty. She believes that truthfulness of one's action are what make them. She can be summarized as God-fearing, authentic leader, game changer, diverse, driven, woman of force and empowerment. So we wish Yolanda the very, very best, and we do want to congratulate her for being part of the My Voice book series. And also wanted to let you all know that when you buy the book, any of our volumes, volume 1, 2, or 3, all of the proceeds are going to Singapore Children's Society. So they are going to charity. So when you do buy it, you're not only reading the books and being inspired or motivated, you're also giving back to the society, to the voices of the future. So please do grab a copy of the book. We have shared our details in the chat group. So if you want to get in touch with us, tell us about your story or tell us that we're doing a good job, please do so. And of course, once you grab a copy of the book, you will have the details of all the authors there as well. Now over to you, Shikha.
With that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you all enjoyed listening to us and all the authors of book My Voice, Volume 3. Journey of Self-Discovery and Resilience by Global Influences Publishing House. As mentioned earlier, the book is now available on Amazon Global. So please do go and grab your copy and to be inspired, empowered, motivated, and also to celebrate the exceptional accomplishment and achievement of all our authors. In doing so, we will also be supporting the future voices of this world. As you all know, as Neera mentioned, that all sales proceeds from the book are being donated to Singapore Children's Society. Together, let's embark on a journey to make life happen on our own terms and create a world we deserve to live in. We're wishing you all a very happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.